Chapter 55, Toro, Toro, Toro. Discerning readers of the Nick Muircastle series of books may wonder why I'm working without a net, that is, without my trusty wallet, which began life in the 20th century as a simple bulletproof wallet, but later was equipped with a personal force field and other features that I'm not at liberty to reveal, as well as my two-way connection to the third heaven, my celestial phone. Alas, when I accepted the full-time job offer from the CDC Acme, I had to temporarily resign from the TPE Corps, which required me to relinquish both wallet and celestial. I was able to hold on to my TPE credit card, but it no longer worked in past, present, and future time. It no longer had unlimited credit. It only worked in the now, and I had to carefully watch my spending. Without CDC/Acme backing, I would have been stuck on the first planet I inspected. I greatly missed the wallet, of course. Did I miss the celestial? I think no comment would be the smart way to go on that one. In our wanderings so far, in our goings to and fro, and our journeys there and back, we've made much of the sad state of dairy cattle. But what about the bulls? As much as we are concerned about the female cows, it's a good chance the bulls are even more so. Six more years passed, no major ups and no major downs. I was approaching 85% of the land mass covered. It was another lovely spring day in a valley not far from a mountain range. I would soon have to figure out how to get around. I had jumped a barbed wire fence and was walking through a pasture of tall fescue. I was lost in thought, not paying proper attention to my surroundings, when I suddenly heard the thunderous roar of hoofs pounding on the ground. I snapped out of my daydream and quickly looked left, center, and right. 3 bulls were headed my way. I don't know how, but they seemed to be working in unison, and the mission was to smash me deep into the earth with no chance of climbing out. People get frustrated, I guess. Bulls do too, and I had somehow managed to become the target of their frustration. It was too late to hightail it in the other direction. I had one chance, and that was to jump over the head and onto the back of the first bull to reach me. Once on the back of the bull, I could jump to the ground to his rear and then scamper to the nearest section of barbed wire fence. The tricky part was picking the bull that would reach me first. The speed and distance of all 3 were very similar, but one did appear to be slightly faster. I had to trust my instincts. There would be no second guessing. I made my decision and then I jumped. Luckily, it was the right decision. Chapter 56, Troubadour's Lament. Anytime one escapes the charge of 3 raging bulls, one feels a great sense of relief. Kentucky Colonel must have felt the same way after he successfully eluded the angry mob that was furious with him because of his attempt at deception in the perpetual karaoke contest. A few years later, I once again ran into the Colonel in the mountain hamlet of Sigma this, Sigma that. He was on stage performing some original music at a local bar called the Local Bar. He was wearing a buckskin jacket and had a coonskin hat on his head. He was accompanying himself with a banjo and singing, "When things go south, I go south with them. When things go north, I refuse to comply. When things go west, I just say amen. When things go east, I sing a lullaby. When things go up, I look the other way. When things go down, I scratch my head. When things go dark, I have nothing to say. When the lights turn on, I forget what I said." If you want me to go, I can take a hint. It's the way I live, the troubadour's lament. Not too bad. Certainly better than Muskrat Love. When the Colonel took a break, I walked over to introduce myself. I told him where I had first seen him, and he seemed a little embarrassed. I said emphatically, "Don't feel bad, we all make mistakes. The longer you live, the more mistakes you make. I speak from personal experience. What's important is, did you learn from it?" The Colonel replied with somewhat of an ironic look on his face. "I did learn, boy, did I ever learn. It was several years before I could get another gig. I was known everywhere as the cheating Colonel. Fortunately, I spelled the colonel part of my name, with a K instead of a C, which helped diffuse some of the animosity. Oftentimes people, because of the differing spellings, didn't get the connection. I replied, "All well and good, but you had somewhat of an ironic look on your face. What was that all about?" "You're very perceptive. Are you some kind of a detective?" "Yes, but answer my question," I said. He hesitated for a moment, then said, "It's that song, Muskrat Love. I could sing it without descending into giggles. Watch me." And he got up, went to the stage, and performed Muskrat Love, treating it as if it were a real song. No laughing or giggling on his part, and he did such a good job, no one in the audience laughed either. Hats off to the Kentucky Colonel. Chapter 57, Planet of the Capes. There had been someone in the nearby woods who, for some reason beyond me, filmed my encounter with the bulls. The resultant video went viral, and soon men and women all over Sigma 3 were wanting to compete as bullfighters. Hemingway's Death in the Afternoon sold out in the bookstores, and Snobby Lobby and stores like it were selling red capes by the thousands. Sigma variations on bullfighting included fighting 3 bulls instead of 1. They were doing by choice what I had done by accident, and a rule that the bulls could not be killed at the end of the bullfight, as was traditionally done in bullfights on Earth. This had to do with the facts that bulls were becoming scarce on Sigma 3, and therefore losing any number of them, no matter how small, was something the planet could not afford. Due to the slightly higher gravity of Sigma 3 compared to Earth's, Sigmas on average were not the best jumpers. So what I had done, jumping on top of one of the bulls to make good my escape, was not feasible for the average Sigma. But their competitive nature would not allow them to accept reality. So in typical Sigma fashion, they bent reality to their will by inventing specialty bullfighting boots that included a spring in the bottom of them. I went to a couple of bullfights and found them entertaining, but I already spent so much time with cattle in my normal daily routine, the thought of spending my free time just wasn't appealing. I finally reached the end of my Sigma 3 inspection tour. It had taken me 26 years, 2 months, and 4 days. It was time to head back to Sigma Delta Pi and report my findings to Pastor Luke Matthews of the S234 DC. I had quite a surprise waiting for me at the S234 DC headquarters, which I will get to in a moment. My legs were weary, and I was lucky enough to catch a ride in the back of a truck hauling hay to a farm about 20 miles from Sigma Delta Pi. By the time we got to the farm, my legs had fully recuperated, and the walk to the capital city was an enjoyable one. It was after 5 p.m. when I got to town. I assumed Reverend Luke was on his way to yet another revival, so I took a room in the great hotel of Sigma 3, which was just across the street from the best hotel on Sigma 3. How did I make up my mind? I flipped a coin.